Hey folks, we are here live with Patrick Chanezon from Docker. Patrick, how are you?
Hey Dan, very well, thanks. Pretty impressive demo this morning.
Yeah, so Patrick, you actually just came from DockerCon Europe, so you just flew in. What are some of the key announcements that developers who maybe aren't familiar with Docker and some of the, especially the new announcements, would be interested in?
Sure. So Barcelona was super exciting. We just finished DockerCon EU yesterday. Some of the exciting announcements are around Docker Trusted Registry. So Docker Trusted Registry 1.4 came out, and one of the really nice feature in there is what we call integrated content trust. Okay. So what it provides you is a way to sign your images when you're building as a developer, and then verify when you're an ops and you're running an image, verify that it has been signed with the right key. And one of the demos that was super impressive at the conference the other day was the integration with YubiKey, which allows you to have your key on a small USB dongle. You just put it into your machine, and you can use that for signing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. One of the strong aspects of integrated content trust is that it's based on a framework that's called the Update Framework, TUF, that's based on academic research. And the result of that is that it allows you to have to compromise your keys and change the keys that have been compromised in a very easy way.
Very cool. So for folks not familiar with Docker, because there are so many cool things going on with Docker, I figured since we have the whiteboard, you could actually explain. I just have a regular app, and you can pick whatever programming language, Node, Go, ASP.NET, whatever. How do I actually get it from code on my laptop to running containers somewhere on the web?
Yeah, so let's go for it.
Okay, all right, this is going to be exciting.
So what we're doing at Docker is that we build tools for build, ship, and run distributed applications.
Okay.
So let's look at the build part first. So in order to build applications, you start with what is called a Docker file. So it's a very simple declarative file where you're building your image. So what we mean by that is that you're going to put all the operating system and all the dependencies that you want to use to build your applications inside of that image. So
and my code goes in there too.
So your code goes in there, your operating system, your library. So you typically you inherit. So you say from Ubuntu, specify a version like so you specify a version. Once you've done that, you just inherit the Ubuntu image.
Okay.
After that, you just say copy my source file into a directory in there, and then you can have a compilation step. So typically, you would, if you're building a Java application, you would do a Java. You would do a run Java C, and then you're running the compiler, it generates a jar, and then at the end you specify a command that will be run when your container runs, and there you would say Java -jar, and then my code. And it's the same for Node applications, .NET applications, anything that you're building. You just specify a base image that has your OS. You start adding all the dependencies that you need, and then you compile your code and you specify a command to launch. Once you've done that, you use Docker to build that image. So what Docker build is going to do is it's going to create a layered file system where we have this notion of images and layers. So let's say we have an initial image that has Ubuntu. So it has all the Ubuntu binaries and all that. On top of that, maybe I added an Nginx. I just installed Nginx in there. So I have the Nginx, image.
Sure.
And then on top of that, I have my application code. And the beauty of that compared to virtual machines is that if you have on your server 15 different images that are all based on Ubuntu, but have slightly different components or source code, the Ubuntu layer is going to be pulled only once by the daemon. So there's a very much...
Everything's cached. So if I have 3 of these, I'm only pulling that Ubuntu once.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that made Docker super successful, that aspect of reusable images. Once you've done that, typically your typical distributed applications has more than one microservice. So maybe I'm running that's my server side. Maybe I have a Mongo database as well, and a Redis cache. So we have another tool that's called Docker Compose. And so as a developer, typically what you do is that you create that compose file. It's a simple YAML file where you say, oh, I want to have my image here, and I want to run that on port 80, and I have a Mongo image that I want to run on another port, and a Redis image.
So we only have one more minute.
Oh, sure.
One key thing, okay, so just to finish up on Compose, I'm going to declare all those, and then I just basically run them all at one time?
Yeah, so what you do is that you do a git clone. You're a new developer in a team, you do a git clone, and then you do a Docker Compose up, and your app just runs. And after that, you can push it to, you can do a Docker run, you can target a Docker engine, or Docker Swarm, which is a cluster. And then in the middle, you have a Docker Trusted Registry or Docker Hub, where you push your images. So that's the place between devs and ops. And then in terms of run, we just announced two things, Docker Container as a Service.
So we do need to wrap up. So, so real quick, Docker Containers as a Service and
Universal Control Plane, which is a version for shipping and running your containers that you can run behind the firewall if you're an enterprise.
So this is awesome. Where can folks learn more about the announcements here?
So you can learn more at blog.docker.com. You will find all the announcements from Barcelona, and there are lots of very cool videos of all the demos that happened there.
Yes, I love that all the videos are available online. So Patrick, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you very much, Dan.